Nexo is a crypto-based bank based in Europe that just announced one of the lowest interest rates in the industry. This happened after the company secured long-term, cost-efficient financing as part of their agreement to bring down funding costs. Antoni Trenchev is with me to explain more. So welcome, Antoni. It's great to be talking to you this morning.
Thank you, Jane. Absolutely thrilled to be here.
So tell me about the new interest rate. Who does it benefit?
Well, I think that lower interest rates are a net benefit for absolutely everyone. And I mean the borrowers, the clients of Nexo, the investors, and the company itself. Obviously, when people utilize lending products, they like their interest rates to be low and competitive. It's a no-brainer. But I think this is also very good for the blockchain space as such and the overall market, because Nexo is a crypto company, but our ambition is to expand well beyond that. And we have been working for more than 6 months on this deal to secure long-term, cost-efficient financing. Me and my partner Costa, we have been in the financial capitals of the world, talking to banks, just about anyone from JP Morgan to Bank of America to Citibank. So we did the proper legwork to secure that deal. We had a lot of explaining to do why banks should get off zero in terms of investments in crypto and exposure to crypto. And I think that this deal is a manifestation of us succeeding in that perspective.
Okay, so I mean, it makes a lot of sense. As business owners, people who operate in the financial world, they're always looking for low interest rates. And we're seeing, in some cases, negative interest rates in some countries. So you're just kind of taking advantage of this macro trend that we're seeing globally.
Absolutely. We've had low interest rates for more than a decade now due to the very expansive and aggressive monetary policies conducted by the central banks of the world. Unfortunately, I think that this interest rates, this monetary policy has not directly benefited the people. It has benefited the institutions, because when you go to your Charles Schwab's, Bank of America's, you see interest rates on your accounts at an absolute maximum of 2% per year, which is not a whole lot. It barely covers the inflation rate. So, but this, at the same time, has been an opportunity in disguise for companies like us. We at Nexo have been in the fintech space for more than a decade now. We're very consumer-focused, very consumer-driven, very consumer-oriented, and client-focused. So we see this as an opportunity for us to offer services that are to the benefit of the consumers. People can earn up to 8%. With Nexo on their stable coins, on their dollars, euro, Great British pounds, which has been rebouncing nicely due to the recent talks. So we deliver a product that is very much in demand, both in terms of our earn product, which gives people unprecedented or interest rates that they haven't seen in a while, in more than a decade for sure. And then also the means to borrow against what in the traditional markets would be their stock portfolios or the commodities. We have taken that, leveraged that expertise, and now people can borrow against their assets, crypto assets. And it's a win-win for everyone because of the low interest environment and the interest rates that we can offer the space, which are quite enticing. And they bring in the institutions into the space. And that's one of the larger trends that we're seeing right now, is the institutionalization of the blockchain crypto sphere, which is very, very positive. And we're super excited about that.
Mm-hmm. Now, I was interested in looking at your website because it says Nexo is better than banks or something like that. And, there's a lot of just complaints about banks. I mean, the low interest rates that they pay on savings, the high interest rates that they charge on credit cards. You have to wait to get a foreign currency a few days in many cases. They're standing in line. There's that they treat people with a lot of money better. I mean, there's a whole list of complaints. So tell me what Nexo is doing better than banks.
At Nexo, we provide banking services for the blockchain space, but also for a quickly tokenizing world, which makes the total addressable market just like the ones for the banks in the trillions. So we are, not really a modest bunch, but we think we do a very good job at actually challenging the banks, the incumbents. And we think we are succeeding in providing services in a more efficient way than previously before. From a customer perspective, that's how we set up the products. And our interfaces are amazingly clean, very simple to use, and also the efficiency, because every process at Nexo is fully automated. We have been doing this for more than a decade now, so we do have the know-how on how exactly to do customer-driven products and how to develop those. And with us, we are a 2-year startup, and we already are live in 200 jurisdictions. We provide our instant crypto credit lines in those jurisdictions, and you can get your loan same or next day, usually hits your bank account within a few hours, and we deliver the loans in 40 plus different fiat currencies, which is practically unheard of. This is due to our extensive network of banking partners that we have dedicated considerable time developing. And everything is incredibly efficient. We don't do credit checks. The only thing you have to do is onboard in terms of KYC, AML procedures, so that we know exactly who we're dealing with, because we are a fully regulated, serious financial institution. But apart from that, if you have the collateral to put up for your credit line and to secure it, there's zero credit checks. There's no credit-based scoring whatsoever. You can get your loan in sometimes less than 15 minutes. We have seen such cases, and you can check out the internet. There's full of testimony as to the efficiency of the Nexo model. So in that sense, I think it's fair to say we are part of the solution, not part of the problem. Delivering our services in the way we do, we intend, and I think succeed, to being very inclusive and to provide services that were previously unavailable to the underbanked people of the world. We have more than 2 billion people who don't have access to the infrastructure that we do have in the West. And Nexo has gone a long way in providing services to the most remote corners of the world, so that, we can have a Western-like wealth creation and redistribution and participation in the way we have done business and grown our collective wealth in the West to parts of the world that might not be that privileged.
So explain to me how the credit line works. So let's say I'm a small business owner and I need some money for, operating expenses. What do? I go to your website, and then what?
Small and medium business enterprises are actually one of the most frequent use cases that we see on the platform. Just the other day, we had a client describing his experience with Nexo, how he has generated some serious profits from his Bitcoin's investments. He was early on. And now he's starting a business. He has a startup. And rather than take his Bitcoin and sell it into the open market, he comes to Nexo to secure a instant credit line against his Bitcoin, which is all the more efficient in a couple of ways. First of all, he believes that Bitcoin is going to $50,000, $100,000 a Bitcoin. So he would like to take part and participate in that upswing in price, if it comes to be. Then B, he has now some some liquidity needs. So rather than sell it and miss out on all the potential, he can get the instant credit line, which I think he's a US citizen and business owner, is also, from his perspective, it's very tax efficient, because when you borrow against your assets, you don't pay capital gains tax. This is no secret. This is what the billionaires of this world, the Mark Zuckerbergs, the late Steve Jobs, have been doing for decades. They keep on borrowing against their holdings rather than sell them in the open market, which A, does not allow them to have that asset exposure as they used to, and then B, up to 44% might be gone in taxes. So we're seeing lots of small businesses, medium businesses, and now even hedge funds, pension funds. Hopefully some of the banks utilize Nexo services, which provides efficiency all across the board. And the way the platform works is really simple. You just go on the website, you onboard within 2 minutes, and then you would deposit your crypto, whatever it might be, Bitcoin, for instance. You got $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, you transfer that to the leading custodian in the space. In our case, that would be BitGo. So it's secured there. You maintain the beneficial ownership of it during the entire duration of the loan. You get your dollars, euro, whatever, same day, most likely than not. Then you spend it as you see fit. And once you repay it, as mentioned earlier, interest rates are very competitive. We charge APRs that start from 5.9%, just as a means of comparison. The Uber credit card charges you close to 25%, and the Amazon card charges you something in the mid-30s in terms of percentage rates. So we are very competitive. And once you repay your loan, you obviously get your Bitcoin back. If it has risen in the meantime, you profit off that nicely. And the beauty of it all is that our credit lines, they're dynamic, meaning that if Bitcoin gains in value, the accessible amounts for your loans, for your instant credit lines, gets proportionally extended. And you only pay interest on what you actually spend or withdraw to your bank account or spend with your Nexo MasterCard. So it is efficiency.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask about that because Bitcoin is notoriously volatile. So I was wondering how you have guaranteed approvals with that volatility, and also just in general, how can you guarantee approval of a credit line?
Volatility is what drew people to pay attention to the crypto space. So it has been a blessing. For instance, Bitcoin is the best performing asset over the past decade, and it has delivered asymmetric returns on a consistent basis throughout the past 10 years. So it's really a question, can you afford not to have Bitcoin in your portfolio? Obviously, it has to be done and managed with the proper risk management tools and money management techniques so that it doesn't blow up in your face. But just having a small portion of it on your portfolio can generate outsized returns. So one of the missions that we have at Nexo is to spread the good word, and that also includes the volatility. I think volatility has been in a downward trajectory for some time now, with new products emerging everywhere, from the Chicago Mercantile Exchange to the ETFs, which are going to be approved sooner or rather than later. But at Nexo, we encourage under leverage. We give you a loan which is 50 cents on the dollar, which protects the company, which protects the investor, which protects the client. And this is very important. And the way we can guarantee your approval is the fact that you are pledging collateral. This is the second question, the first question you asked, what I'm answering secondly. So this is how we ensure that you are and your approval is guaranteed by being in the secured lending business and extending loans which are secured through collateral.
Well, another thing that was interesting is everything is automated. So you can apply 24/7. There is instant approval too. Do I understand that right?
Yes, everything with Nexo is instant. It's happening in real time. You can log into our website 24/7. You can do so on the go via our very beautiful mobile app. I encourage everyone to check it out, download it, make sure you give it your highest rating. So we conduct business in your time zone, on your terms. You can come and construct the product exactly so that it fits your particular needs. And this is what Nexo ultimately is all about, having very consumer-centric, very consumer-driven products which serve the needs of our clients, the community. And I think those are the best business models in the world that, first of all, make economic sense. And with Nexo, it is precisely the case. Our model is as old as the world, secured lending. And it's no secret. I mean, this is the point of the interview, sharing with the world that we now have abundant, cost-efficient liquidity secured for the long run, which would enable us to continuously provide superior services. This brings me to the second point. And, we live in a digitized world. People have the expectation everything to be instant, to be as close as possible to a zero friction situation. And I think that we are doing one of the better jobs in the world of providing services in line with those two premises.
And I saw also you have a $100 million custodial insurance. So how does that help your business model?
Providing financial services and combining that with technology is one of the huge advances of our time. But, that particular space, the most valuable commodity in it is trust. So we go at great lengths to be a serious financial institution. We are regulated as such. We are in a very aggressive mode of license acquisition throughout the world because, as I said, we operate in more than 200 jurisdictions. So this is one of the ways that we create trust. And then the other thing is precisely what you're bringing up, this concept of having insurance and the blockchain space being still a nascent industry that is not something that was easily achieved. And we're quite proud here because we now have custodial insurance. Well, we've had it for a while. Custodial insurance on the assets that are held with our custodian, BitGo. And this is a direct result from their ongoing effort to provide the most secure and efficient services and their arrangement with Lloyd's of London, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, underwriter of such policies in the insurance sector, and that's for the entire world.
Now, I also saw that Brock Pierce, a well-known crypto entrepreneur, used Nexo to purchase a second home. So how did that transaction work?
This truly was one of the more spectacular cases we had at Nexo. What we were able to execute with Brock Pierce was the world's first crypto-backed mortgage, and we were quite excited to be part of that deal. Actually, Brock was able to acquire a property in central Amsterdam in the Netherlands, which is a building that used to be an illegal Catholic chapel. So, it should be checked out by everyone to see. It's an amazing building, stunning architecture. So during the 1800s, actually, Catholicism was outlawed in the Netherlands. So everything had to go underground. The Catholics had to go underground, and they created this amazing building. And Brock secured the deal. I don't know how he's done that. He's a savvy businessman. But we were part of the deal where his line of thinking was, I have this bunch of Bitcoin. He's a very strong proponent of all things crypto. He holds more than 95% of his personal wealth in crypto. So he's short fiat, essentially. And he came to us and said, I have this bunch of Bitcoin. I want to secure this incredible property. What can you guys do for me? And we said, what currency you need? He said euro. And we saw all the documentation. We transferred the euro to the notary, which then received it same day and executed the deal for him. There was the secure swap between money and property. And that was back in January, I think, when Bitcoin was trading at $3,000. Then a few months later, it was trading at $13,000. There's been more than almost 5x as a return on his Bitcoin. And essentially, this deal financed itself. So this is what Nexo is all about, giving you the best of both worlds, holding on to your crypto, and then giving you access to liquidity whenever you might need it for whatever reason.
Wow, that is really interesting. And it could be kind of a really early glimpse of how we make purchases and do financial transactions in the future.
Indeed, that's correct. I think we are living in a very interesting time right now. We're seeing the tokenization of the world happening as we speak. We see everything from real estate getting tokenized. Real estate's total value is 200 trillion with a T. We're seeing stocks, commodities, bonds, all sorts of equity getting tokenized. That's another close to $80 trillion. We're seeing fine art getting tokenized and brought on chain to be exchange traded, fractionally owned, and obviously borrowed against. So super, super exciting times. I think the technology has proven its worth. Blockchain technology is here to stay. We're going to see more of that, more things getting on blockchain. So super interesting times that we're living in right now. And as the world gets tokenized, Nexo will be there to do lending and much more, provide banking services for this brave new world.
Yeah, well, congratulations on your success, and kudos to you for kind of seeing the future and coming up with a company that addresses how things are changing.
Thank you so much, Jane, for your kind words and for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.